Good afternoon, Tigers fans, and welcome to today's special pregame ceremony presented by Meijer. Today, we honor a truly legendary player in Tigers history, Hall of Fame pitcher Jack Morris, with the official retirement of his number 47. At this time, we ask that you turn your attention to the video board as we look back at the accomplished group of men who have already received the highest honor a franchise can bestow upon a player.
He ranked as baseball's all-time hits leader for the better part of the last century. And though Ty Cobb's name is rightfully displayed on the brick wall here at Comerica Park, there's a very good reason his number is not. He didn't have one. Cobb's career ended in 1928 before players regularly began wearing numbers. In fact, it wouldn't be until 1980 when the Tigers retired their first number, Al Kaline's number 6. The Hall of Fame right fielder played 22 seasons in Detroit, setting franchise records in career games and home runs. He joins Cobb as the only two Tigers to record 3,000 hits. He also memorably helped lead the Tigers to the 1968 World Series championship. Two more Hall of Famers saw their numbers retired on the same day in 1983. Charlie Gehringer's number 2 and Hank Greenberg's number 5. Gehringer played 19 seasons in Detroit, finishing with a lifetime batting average of .320. In 1935, he hit .375 in the World Series to help pave the way to the Tigers' first championship. 2 years later, he was named the American League MVP. Greenberg played 12 seasons as a Tiger, ranking as one of the great power hitters of the game's first half-century. The first baseman won MVP awards in 1935 and 1940, while also setting a franchise record for home runs with 58 in 1938. He helped the Tigers to World Series titles in 1935, and then again a decade later in 1945. In 1997, Hal Newhouser's number 16 joined the ranks. The Hall of Famer is the only pitcher in Major League history to win back-to-back MVP awards, earning the honor in 1944 and again in 1945. Newhouser pitched 15 seasons in Detroit, highlighted by his 2 wins in the Tigers' 7-game World Series triumph in 1945. In 2000, outfielder Willie Horton saw his number retired. Horton played 15 seasons in Detroit, hitting a team-high 36 home runs for the 1968 World Series champions. A graduate of Detroit's Northwestern High School, his many contributions to his community have only cemented his status as a true hometown hero. And in 2011, Sparky Anderson's number 11 was retired just before his posthumous induction into the Hall of Fame. Sparky won a franchise record 1,331 games in 17 seasons in Detroit. And of course, he led the Tigers to the 1984 World Series championship. Thanks also in part to the efforts of a hard-throwing right-hander or the number 47.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the radio play-by-play voice of the Detroit Tigers and today's Master of Ceremonies, Dan Dickerson.
Thank you, Bob. Thank all of you for being here today. Just 2 weeks ago, Jack Morris was officially inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in recognition of a remarkable career that spanned 18 years in Major League Baseball. Today, we celebrate the 14 of those years that were spent here in Detroit, including that magical World Series championship season of 1984. As we get started, I'd like to welcome several special guests who are seated on the field right behind home plate. The Tigers team trainer from 1980 to 1994, including the '84 World Series championship, Pio DeSalvo. A Michigan native and former MSU Spartan, he pitched for the Tigers in 1982 and 1983, Larry Pashnick. A veteran of 5 big league seasons, including 4 here in Detroit, outfielder Scott Lusader. Our next guest pitched 10 seasons here in Detroit, was a versatile member of that 1984 pitching staff, Mr. Dave Rozema. He played 14 seasons in the major leagues, including 7 as a valuable member of the Detroit Tigers. His home run in Game 1 of the 1984 World Series was the difference in a 3-2 win. Please welcome outfielder Larry Herndon. His 2 home runs in Game 5 of the 1984 World Series will live on forever in the memories of Tigers fans. A veteran of 17 big league seasons, now an analyst on Fox Sports Detroit, Kirk Gibson. A 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger winner, one of the greatest second basemen to ever play this game, Lou Whitaker. Please also give a special welcome to the Jack Morris family members who join us today, including his wife Jennifer and son Miles, his son Austin and his wife Laura, his son Eric and his wife Jennifer, as well as Jack's 5 grandchildren. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. I would also like to welcome the honored guests we have on stage with us here today. The President and CEO of Ilitch Holdings, the Chairman and CEO of the Detroit Tigers, Christopher Ilitch. Now in his 27th season working in professional baseball, his 3rd season as the Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations and General Manager for the Detroit Tigers, Al Avila. In 1980, he became just the 10th player ever to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Selected to 18 All-Star games, 10 Gold Glove awards. He played a key role in helping the Tigers to their 3rd World Championship in 1968. No player has worn a Tigers uniform in more games. And of course, you can see his number 6 on the wall behind us. Please welcome Mr. Tiger, Al Kaline. His number 23 also adorns the Comerica Park wall, a rather fitting tribute to a true hometown legend and community champion. A 4-time All-Star and a hero from the 1968 World Series champions, he led that team in home runs and batting average that year. Please welcome Willie Horton. Next up, Jack's Hall of Fame classmate, whose number 3 will be going up on Comerica Park's brick wall in just 2 weeks. The MVP of the 1984 World Series, Hall of Famer Alan Trammell. Our next honored guest joins Alan Trammell and Jack Morris as a member of that famed 1976 Tigers draft class. He won 18 games during the 1984 season, earning an All-Star appearance the following year. In all, he won 119 games as a Detroit Tiger. Please welcome Dan Petrie. And finally, he might know Jack Morris, the pitcher, better than anyone alive. One of the premier catchers of his era with 8 All-Star appearances, 6 Silver Slugger awards, 3 Gold Gloves, the big wheel, Lance Parrish. We now ask that you please turn your attention to the video board as we look back at the Hall of Fame career of one of the greatest Tigers pitchers in history.
Everybody has that competitiveness and that desire to win and, you know, hating to lose, but somebody always has something a little bit more than somebody, and I think that's that little something extra that Jack had.
And when Jack Morris got to the 7th inning, it was over. Like, he wanted to finish it out. He'd do anything for his teammates. He was gritty. He was different, okay?
There was no better big game pitcher that I've ever played with than Jack.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the field Hall of Famer, number 47, Jack Morris. How good was that Tigers pitching staff in 1984? Our next speaker pitched 233 innings that year, winning 18 games with an ERA of 3.24, finished 5th in the Cy Young voting, and he was considered the number 2 man on the staff. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Mr. Dan Petrie.
Well, first off, I'd like to just say how honored I am to be here today in front of all the fans and the distinguished guests that are here on the field and behind me. I mean, that video was a lot of fun to watch. And I only think it's fitting that as the celebration takes place, that the Tigers are playing the Minnesota Twins, a team that Jack would go on to win another World Series with in 1991, pitching that incredible 10-inning Game 7 victory. Well, let's talk about his early days with the Tigers back in 1979. Jack and I had started the year in AAA Evansville, and Jack didn't stay there as long as he was called up to Detroit just a few weeks later. I was called up to Detroit in July of that year, as Jack was showing he was having a breakout season. He would go on to win 17 games and show everybody why he was never going to be sent to the minor leagues again. I remember when I got called up to the Detroit, reading an article in one of our local newspapers about Jack, and Sparky was saying how competitive Jack was. He cited that when Sparky would go to the mound to take Jack out, Jack would take the ball and slam it into Sparky's hands, showing how competitive, like, what are you doing taking me out of this game? The nerve of you. You've got nobody else down in that bullpen that's any better. You got to leave me in. Years later, Sparky and I would have discussions on why Jack wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Me stating all the reasons of why I thought he should be in, and Sparky just saying that Jack's ERA was too high. Well, my argument to Sparky was, well, Sparky, you know, you left them in all those games to win 4-3 or 5-4, 6-5, 7-6. So it's your fault, you know. He said Sparky would just laugh and say, I didn't leave them in those games because I wanted to. I was just afraid to go out there and take him out of the game and have him slam that ball down into my hand again. Sometimes probably even worse than that. Jack wasn't like most starting pitchers on game days. You could always talk to Jack, and he would keep the locker room relaxed on the days he pitched. He wouldn't stare into his locker, hey, don't talk to me, I'm pitching today, have some headphones on. He would go out and shag, you know, at shortstop, in the outfield, just burning off some of that nervous energy. And I remember before one game, and Jack may have a different remembrance of this, but before one game, Jack was parading around through the clubhouse telling the guys, all right, guys, go out and get me 10 runs. I have never lost a game where you guys have gotten me 10 runs. And Gibby was over in the corner and said, yeah, but you've left the game tied in a few. The point is, Jack didn't pitch to a low ERA. He just simply won baseball games. No matter how long it took, no matter how many runs he gave up, he somehow was going to find a way to win. There just was no surrender in him. Trust me, there was a lot of fantastic games that he pitched.
Sometimes you go out there, you don't always have your best stuff. You're going to give up some runs. Jack just did not want to come off that field. He was going to stay out there until you killed him, or he somehow figured out a way to stay out there long enough to where his teammates came back and won the game for him. Jack, you set the standard for us starting pitchers. If you pitched a complete game 3 hitter, I wanted to go out the next day and do the same thing. I even started to follow your example and started slamming the ball into Sparky's hand when you came out to take me out too. You made all of us better. You and Tram entered the Hall of Fame together just 2 short weeks ago. And I'm again reminded by something Sparky said at a dinner where he was being honored. There is no greater compliment than having your own people, the people of Detroit, the state of Michigan, where your fabulous career began, honor you with the retirement of your number. I'm fortunate to get down to Comerica Park quite often, and every time I look out to center field, I'll see that number 47, and it will remind me of our days together and how lucky I was to play with a Hall of Famer. Congratulations, Jack, on all your accomplishments.
Thank you, Dan. We'll hear from another member of the '84 championship team in a moment. First, we ask you to turn your attention to the video board as we hear from the many voices from around the world of baseball, including right here in Detroit, who wanted to congratulate Jack on his induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, as well as today's number retirement.
Hey Jack, congratulations on the Hall of Fame and having your jersey retirement. I couldn't be more prouder. You know that. We go back to 1976. All the best to you, buddy.
To know that I've played 5 years with a Hall of Famer, your tenacity was fabulous, and it's well-deserved that you are being inducted and your number retired.
I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure playing for you. You're a super person, super guy, and a great Tiger.
Congrats, Jack, on getting to the Hall of Fame and having your number retired. Those are 2 things that every player has ever dreamed of. It's well-deserved, and I hope you enjoy this with your family.
I grew up a Detroit Tiger fan, and I idolized every moment that you took the mound. You were a fierce competitor, and everything you meant to Detroit speaks for your career.
Boy, I wish we were on the same team, Jack. I really do, because I hated facing you. Now we finally are in Cooperstown, but congratulations on your whirlwind summer. It was a pleasure playing against you, although I never looked forward to facing you because you were so competitive, and you came up with that fork ball, that split finger fastball, and it just murdered me. I remember talking with Rod Carew, and Rod said whenever he faced you, he knew he was going to go 0 for 4. Well, I had a little bit more confidence in myself. I penciled in a 1 for 4, and I was very happy to do it. But congratulations on all the things that are happening to you this year. It's an honor well deserved, and congratulations again, pal.
You always had a way never to give in. Proud of you. You're a heck of a guy, heck of an athlete, heck of a family man, heck of a teammate, and your fans love you. You deserve it, and I'm really proud to see that you and Tram went in together. Now what's next?
You have a very, very special day, and your number being retired and your gift to the Hall of Fame is magnificent. So couldn't be happier for a real good guy.
It was such an honor playing alongside of you, and it's even better honor going into the Baseball Hall of Fame with you.
It's certainly richly deserved. You were a tremendous competitor. I'd love to have the chance to compete against you as well as be your teammate when we went to Toronto. Enjoy the moment.
Finally where you belong. Happy for you. Tiger for life.
From everybody in the Detroit Tiger organization, we're proud of you. Thank you. Thanks for your effort in making us all better. Take care, Jackson.
Congratulations, Jack Morris, or Lipper as I called you in Minnesota. You're a Hall of Famer. I always knew you would be, and don't cry. Just don't cry.
One of the most memorable moments in Tigers history happened on a windy day in Chicago on April 7th, 1984. And when Jack Morris threw that final strike past a swinging Ron Kittle to complete his no-hitter, the first person to meet him halfway to the pitcher's mound was his catcher, Lance Parrish. It certainly wasn't the only time that Lance would have to meet Jack halfway. We'll let Lance tell us himself about the special relationship he had with one of the game's fiercest competitors. Please welcome to the podium former Tigers catcher Lance Parrish.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be here today to recognize a guy that I truly consider like my own brother. Spent a lot of time with him in uniform. The first time we met in 1976, and I'm sure you've probably heard the story on TV a few times about his first spotting me on the balcony of a hotel in Montgomery, Alabama. We'll leave that alone. But had the opportunity to play with Jack in Montgomery when he was drafted out of BYU, alongside with Alan Trammell, who came and joined our team a little bit later in the season. And as it turned out, we ended up becoming the Southern League champions that year. And it was, I guess, an introduction to what we had in store for us in Tiger uniforms. We also played winter ball together in Puerto Rico in Mayaguez. We all made our 77 debut together. Jack, Milt Wilcox, myself, Alan, and Lou. Just the beginning stages of what Jim Campbell and Bill Ajoy were trying to put together as far as a championship ball club went. But today we celebrate the retirement of your number 47. And what that means is as long as the Detroit Tigers exist, the number 47 will always be associated with you, and it will be defined by greatness and a Hall of Fame career. What that also means is that whenever any Tigers fan comes into this stadium and they see that number hanging on the wall, they can explain to whoever they've come in here with, whether it be their sons or daughters, parents, business associates, the story of the great Jack Morris. And what I imagine they'll tell them, something like this: that when Sparky Anderson became the Tigers manager in 1979, he gave the ball to a young, promising pitcher and asked him to lead his pitching staff. To lead by example, to push through the pain and fatigue, and to finish what he started. And all you did was dominate a decade. Win more games than anyone in Major League Baseball during the 1980s. From the time he started his Major League career, he pitched the most complete games of anybody up to date with 175. So he definitely finished what he started, or at least tried to. In 1984, he led the team in wins with 19, threw a no-hitter against the Chicago White Sox, went 3-0 in the postseason, and led our team to a World Series championship. Nobody can ever forget the 35-5 start, wire-to-wire champions. Obviously, for all of us that played on that team, a very, very memorable time in our lives. But when the Tigers let him walk as a free agent after the 90 season, he signed with his hometown Minnesota Twins. All he did there was win 18 games during the regular season, deliver one of the best Game 7 performances in World Series history, outdueling fellow Hall of Famer John Smoltz with a 10-inning shutout to clinch another World Championship and collect the World Series MVP award. He also was a huge contributor to the World Champion Blue Jays teams of 1992 and 1993. So for me, I'm a little jealous. The 3 years that he left Detroit, he won World Championships. In 92, he won 20 games for the third time in his career, going 21-6. All in all, a tremendous, fabulous career. So in recognition of that great career, to which I was honored to be a part of, and to which I know your family are all very proud of you for, just know that we, your Detroit Tiger family, are very proud of you for your great career, for your Hall of Fame induction, and the retiring of your number 47 today. Congratulations, Jack.
In the spring of 1980, Tigers manager Sparky Anderson told Jack Morris he needed to start finishing more of the games he started. Sparky told Jack he wasn't going to tell him how to do it, he just wasn't going to go get him as often. And that single piece of advice, or directive, changed the course of Jack Morris's career. Jack Morris took that advice to heart, became the toughest, most competitive, durable, big game pitcher of his era. Over the next 12 seasons, Jack Morris completed almost 40% of the 403 games he started, easily double the league average of that time. He would tell closers on days that he was pitching, they could plan to take the night off. 8 times he went 10 or 11 innings to finish a game. In the 1984 World Series, he started 2 games and finished them both. And for good measure, one more 10-inning complete game in a Twins uniform and that incredible 1-0 Game 7 win in 1991 in the World Series. Jack Morris was a Midwestern boy from Minnesota who quickly embraced the blue-collar work ethic of the Motor City. And Tigers fans, over 408 starts, including 11 consecutive opening day starts, embraced him right back. They knew they would get the best from Jack Morris every time he took the mound, and at any time might get a chance to see something truly special. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the podium Hall of Fame pitcher, Tigers great number 47, Jack Morris.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's truly a special day for me, and I hope for all my teammates who I really do consider my brothers. We brought some happiness to this city, and you can't believe how much happiness you brought back to us. I never knew what Detroit was like growing up in Minnesota. But it didn't take me long to figure it out. It was right in my wheelhouse. The hardworking people, the salt of the earth, and the great, loyal sports fans that are in this town, it's something truly special for all of us athletes that play here in Detroit. There's an old saying, there's no I in team. I'm a living example of why I'm being honored today. Without the supporting cast of these fellas in front of me and the guys here behind me, I would never be standing here today. I gave it an effort every time. I wanted to win. They also wanted to win. And I think together we grew. And for the guys in both dugouts that might be paying attention here today, team is a wonderful thing. Winning makes it so special for life, but it's your relationships you have, and it only you know who the guys in there that you want to be in the trenches, the guys that you want to have the bat in their hand, the guys you want on the mound, the guys you want the ball to hit to. Those are all things that you will figure it out. But ultimately, when you get gray hair, supposed to be a little smarter than you used to be, you're going to remember the relationships. And I can honestly say, the relationships I have with these guys right here, it'll never go away. It's going to go to my dirt nap. Detroit is a part of who I am. It gave me my chance. The organization drafted me out of college, and I never really thought at all that I would play baseball in Detroit. But getting the opportunity at the right time, because of a guy that got hurt that I wish was here with us today, and that's Mark Fidrich. I got a chance, and it wasn't always easy. There was some ups and downs. There was a lot of failure, but the desire to succeed was much stronger. That desire came from the support of you fans. I can't thank you enough for what you have given to me, what you mean to me, and what you're going to continue to mean to me as I get older and older. I'm proud to have my family with me today. They've been a part of a whirlwind couple months, and we're not done yet. And I just feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I could talk probably for another hour and a half. Ron Gardenhire suggested I get the heck off the mound, and I did not cry, Gardy, but there is some teardrop soup for you. I have so many friends. Paul Mauder, the manager of the Minnesota Twins over there, grew up playing against since we were about 12 years old. So how lucky do I get my number retired where it all started, where most of my career was established, in front of two teams that I love. Again, thank you so much, and go Tigers and Twins.
Thank you, Jack. Don't get too comfortable, though. It's now time for Tigers Chairman, CEO Christopher Ilitch to present you with a collection of gifts signifying your place in franchise history. First, a framed home jersey with your number 47 on the back. Just 8 players have worn the number 47 in 118 seasons of Tigers baseball. None have done so since you pitched your final game as a Tiger in 1990, and of course, no Tiger ever will again. The inscription on the frame commemorates your Hall of Fame induction, as well as today's number retirement ceremony. Next, this is a treasure, a number 47 seat from Tiger Stadium, where you earned exactly 100 of your 254 career regular season wins. At the corner, you also racked up 69 complete games, 14 shutouts, and of course, someone sitting in that very seat also saw your complete game victory in Game 4 of the 1984 World Series. And finally, the Detroit Tigers present to you a number 47 Waterford Crystal. This incredible sculpture was designed and crafted at the House of Waterford Crystal in Waterford City, Ireland, with each piece grinded smooth until the surface was perfectly level. Once each number was cut and sent for polishing, they were bonded to a crystal base for stability and inscription. Thank you, Chris and Jack. We now ask that you rejoin your former teammates and members of the Tigers front office to view the moment we've all been waiting for. It's an honor only 6 Tigers have ever received, and now you're officially the 7th member of one of the most exclusive clubs in all of Detroit sports. Tigers fans, please direct your attention to center field, where number 47 has been permanently added to the Comerica Park brick wall, a fitting tribute to one of the greatest players in Detroit Tigers history, Hall of Fame pitcher number 47, Jack Morris.